this is what I'm really excited about because Pinotage is to South Africa what Shiraz is to the Barossa Valley.
Yep.
Let's have a chat about Pinotage before we talk about this brand. Go for it. Tell me about Pinotage.
So
Let's. What is it?
This is interesting. It's not what you said to me in the car.
What was it?
You can say that, but I'm not going to say
I'm
that.
not going to say that.
'cause
My
I don't
mum's
know
watching.
if this is R-rated or anything like that.
My mother's watching. I'm not going to say that, Ross.
Okay. Hi, Mum. At Elsenburg Agricultural College, everyone's laughing.
Is Sharon watching, Nick? Is Sharon watching?
At Elsenburg Agricultural College, which I was mentioning earlier, which is the wine academy, or for want of a better word, there was a professor called Adam Perold, and he had this dream of combining the best qualities of a grape variety called Hermitage. Now, not Syrah, it's Cinsault. Hermitage is called Cinsault in Portugal.
Okay.
And combining the robust characters of this with Pinot Noir. So he wanted to make a warm climate Pinot Noir. It needs cool climate. This is 1925, right? There's no internet, there's no social media, right? And so this was going to be a bit of a challenge. So what they did was they took seeds, or they grafted, I should say, Pinot Noir and Hermitage. And they got these seeds from this grafting and he planted them in his garden. And then he forgot about it. And then he left the university. And then in 1927, a team from the university came round to tidy up his house and clear out the garden and throw all the rubbish out. And one of the guys who knew him knew that he was doing something and found these vines in his garden and rescued them. And he ripped them up and he took them to Elsenburg and they started working on them and looking at what could be done with them. And in a couple of years later, 1935, they propagated it to a point where they could graft it onto a rootstock. It was for those playing at home, it was a Richter 99 and a Richter 57 rootstock.
Okay.
And don't forget, it's important to note that phylloxera was big in South Africa and did a lot of devastation to the vineyards there. So the whole rootstocking was something that was happening. And they propagated a vine and they planted it. And in 1941, a wine was made at Elsenburg. And in 1941, they'd also sent a sample to Kanonkop. Kanonkop, not Kanonkop,
Yep,
to Kanonkop.
Kanonkop. Yep.
And so in 1941, Kanonkop, these guys planted their first Pinotage vine. And
Are you telling me this is the first Pinotage ever planted?
the first Pinotage was planted at Elsenburg.
Yeah, I know, but
and
is
they
this
sent a varietal.
but this is the first commercially planted Pinotage?
Yes, I believe, and the research is showing that. In 1941, it was planted at Elsenburg and propagated, and Kanonkop and planted. So,
wow, that's pretty cool.
So Kanonkop are known as the Pinotage guys. They're known as the original dudes on the block,
Sure.
the NKOTBs, you know,
The-
new kids on the block, the originals.
Okay.
Anyway, it's had a mixed history.
Okay.
It wasn't made well for a lot of time. People were learning what they'd made. It was pretty much like Frankenstein. They didn't know what they had.
But it's because it's a weird crossing between Pinot Noir and Cinsault.
Yeah, until they learned how to make it properly, the results varied greatly. It had initial great success. It won some, I think it won the Cape Wine Awards in the mid-50s or late 50s, and everyone's going, wow, what's this? But that was pretty much its early accolade, and everything could have teetered from there.
Sure.
And so there's been a lot of toing and froing, and how do we make this, how do we not make this? And it can make a gamut of styles. It can make a very gamey style wine, or it can make a very fruit-driven style wine, or it can make a very thick and unctuous Barossa style.
That's what I'm used to.
Monster.
Chocolatey,
and yeah,
you know,
you've
tobacco leathery kind of
Absolutely.
thing going through, yeah.
And we've got a Pinotage made by the Fondlin guys, and it's a monster. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a $60
This
or $70
smells-
wine.
this smells
it's an
soft.
absolute monster. So that was fun and games. But from 2007 to 2017, they really cleaned up their act, and demand grew. So it went from about 3 million litres a year to about 5 million litres, and then it's incrementally increased every year from there on in. So.
Sure.
Um,
But now it really is, Pinotage is distinctly South African. There's not really any other country that's got this, is there?
Well, there's bits and pieces. But just getting back to this while we're touching on it, this varietal contributes about 495 million rand to the wine economy of South Africa. So it's really gone from, what are we going to do with this, to we know what we're doing now, let's push hard.
For those that don't know, what does that translate into, like US dollar?
Divide by 10.5 to 11, so 50 million.
$50 million. Wow, that's significant.
Yeah, it's a significant varietal. So Kanonkop itself fathers of Pinotage.
Yeah.
Red wine specialists. I've driven past this wine estate so many times when I was a teenager driving to work every morning. Most picturesque area. It's
Really?
on the slopes of the Simonsuch mountains, just past the Helderberg Mountains where I grew up.
Yeah.
On its way outside of Stellenbosch. And the name Kanonkop signals cannon head, is what it means. Kanonkop, cannon head. And there was a high enough outlook that the farmers at Kanonkop could see the trade ships coming into Table Bay in the 1600s and 1700s and 1800s, and they would fire a cannon to notify everyone to go to market to supply the ships. Cannon head. And as you drive through the doors, there's two cannons at the front gates now. I don't know if it's the original cannons, but it's kind of cool.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so Pinotage specialists, bush vine, old vine. I mean, some of the average vines are 60 years old, and they make. This is entry level. This is 20.
Is this entry level?
This is $20 a bottle.
Really?
And then we go to estate, which is about $40 a bottle, and then they've got a reserve, which is significantly more expensive, $100 plus.
Yeah.
But small batch production, and then they also specialise in Cabernet and Bordeaux blends. So Kanonkop was the first New World. I have to get this right. It was the first New World winery to be awarded 100 pointers by Tim Atkin.
Really?
And that was last year, and that was for the 2015 Paul Sauer, which is their Bordeaux blend. And Paul Sauer was one of the original men about town for Kanonkop, one of the establishers.
Yeah,
He got the name out there. So, yeah.
I'll tell you what, this smells incredible. Like I'm loving this conversation, but I've wanted to drink it.
I'm thirsty.
It smells.
Your turn to talk.
No, but it smells so beautiful. Like it's got all that beautiful spice, but a little bit of oak, not a lot of oak, just enough to really give it a lot of depth, but lots of that you could really taste the earth, like smell the earth.
That's what
Lots
I've
of
always said.
terroir.
People say to me, "What's that flavour?" And I say, "You're tasting Africa." And that's what you're doing.
You can really, that's exactly
Very
what you
earthy.
get.
Again, we
It's
go back to that
earthy,
earthy
gamey.
discussion, earthy, savoury, and then there's just enough sweet fruit to give it a sort of
All
a
that purple
complement.
yeah,
It doesn't
absolutely.
it doesn't go against it; it just complements
Yeah.
it on the way through.
But again, the bridge between old
and
world
new.
and new world. You can taste terroir,
Yep.
if that's the word you want to use.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's one thing I think a lot of people get scared of with Pinotage. And again, you did say that they do differ greatly, but I think that this dry, tannic, like dusty kind of flavour scares a lot of people. But if you think about Boerewors, like the Boerewors, you say it better than me.
Boer.
Boerewors, like all the food that the South Africans eat.
Oh, Boerewors.
Boerewors, that's what I
Boerewors,
mean.
yes.
If you think about that, if you think about all the meats and stuff, this is perfect. Like
Yeah.
it makes sense. And I always try and say, if you're trying to match food with wine, go back to what they eat in that country.
Absolutely. And like Australia, we're a barbecue nation or a braai.
Mm-hmm.
We cook meat all the time. What's vegetables? Don't worry about that.
Nah, don't worry about
Maybe
it.
some
Potatoes.
corn and
Maybe
potatoes.
exactly.
But and this is a barbecue wine. This
Exactly.
is a winter casserole, or this is a summer braai.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is really
Everything
lovely.
works.
But yeah, easy drinking, nothing pretentious.
No.
Like a
Fun.
bit of oak.
Fun in a bottle.
Yeah, but it's just you'd expect a bottle like this to look like to be more expensive and because it looks so great.
Yeah, $20.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
crazy.
if you
Crazy.
we should try the estate next time. One level up.
Oh, are we going to do this next time? In
Yeah,
like
when
8
you
weeks
when
after
you invite me.
Yeah, after 8 weeks of me doing it.